Bom dia, meu nome é André, eu trabalho para a Força Aérea Americana. Meu trabalho hoje é como gerente de aviação eletrônica e estou agora na base de Moody, no estado da Geórgia. In 1994, my father was already migrated to the US. He invited me to come, and I came. So I was already 11 years old. Portuguese was my first language, and I went to school in the US. And then I joined the Air Force, and I always kept up the language because, one, I like the fact that I speak a different language. It allows me to communicate, it allows me to travel. And then once I learned about the LEAP opportunity, of course, I ran, and applied for it, and I got picked up. And that's a program that they seek people in the Air Force, enlisted officers, cadets, that speak other languages at any level. And once I joined that program, basically, since my language school is in the higher scale, they always reach out whenever they need any kind of translation. As of the last few years, I have worked with the Mozambique Air Force, the Angola Air Force, and now the Brazilian Air Force. Whenever the Air Force needs that assistant, what they do is they'll reach out to all those individuals that speak that language and they request who's available. But on this situation for the phone call, they reached out directly just because of the language skill that I have. The Air Force felt that I was the most qualified person to be able to translate this phone call because of the language experience and the cultural experience. The command chief was planning to make a phone call to the Brazilian command chief, and I was there. I was actually very utilized because the Brazilian command chief, you could tell that he was tense on the phone, and as soon as I spoke, he realized he was somebody that understands what he goes through. I know exactly where he works, and I have driven on the roads that he drives to and from work every day. So it's kind of, when I said it to him, it's like, oh, you know what you're talking about. And then that breaks the ice. And I think that's why the command chief was so impressed. But of course, it's because I'm exposed to that. When you're more familiar or exposed to the culture, you can understand the meaning behind the words. And that's why the Air Force usually seeks to have folks that have that cultural experience as well, because it helps with the entire process. There's a test called DLPT, and that test gives the Air Force an idea where the person is at. With that score, they understand at what levels they can utilize you. Maintaining the Portuguese language is difficult because for you to fully be able to express or speak, you have to be in an environment where there's other people that speak the language. LEAP actually does that. They provide I would say every 2 years training with a instructor. All the trainings that I have received so far were one-on-one. So that's good because we can basically pace the class to what I need. And I also had an opportunity to go to Mozambique to actually explore the culture and the language as part of LEAP as well. Of course, it's a competitive program. I think I've applied once and didn't get picked. I'm not the guy that tends to give up, so I continued to apply until I got selected. And that's what I tell folks is like, just because you applied once and if you don't get selected, that's okay. Continue applying for it, continue maintaining your skill, because eventually you're gonna get picked up. And then at that point, you're gonna build up on your experience or even the language aptitude. The diversity we have in the Air Force is so high that it makes us great, because you have people from all over the globe with different experiences, different cultures, and that brings a special dynamic to our team. And that's what I love about working with different air forces, because you see different processes, and some of those can be adjusted to what we do and make our Air Force even better. It's about learning. That's kind of the cool part of it, is being able to take things from every experience that you have and either utilize that to help you and your team or to help that other team become more effective.